I want to tell you today about a guy in Wyoming. He is a Wyoming House member. He's trying to pass a bill, and on radio today, I played this audio that came from Denver, a Denver television station that just mocked and ridiculed this thing. People are now calling it a doomsday bill. It's not a doomsday bill. I'm calling it one of the most responsible bills in the United States of America. It would allow the state to investigate what it would take to create their own currency if need be. How do they deal with food and energy sources and shortages? How do they raise a standing army if, God forbid, there was catastrophic collapse? We weren't mocked when the government decided they were going to build fallout shelters. It was common sense. I would urge you to find this bill. Where do we have it? Do we have it on the Blaze or glenbeck.com or what'd you say?
It's on glenbeck.com.
Okay, it's up on glenbeck.com. I want you to go there and take this to your state house and ask your state. Look, you're going to be mocked, and so will all the people involved. Doesn't matter. Just do it. I can only pray that other states will start following Wyoming's lead. It is common sense to be prepared for the worst. Yesterday, I called Tiffany and I said, can you find out who is responsible for this bill? Well, it happens to be Wyoming state legislator, a House member, David Miller, and he's with us now. Hello, David. How are you?
Hey, Glenn. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Are you some crazy conspiracy kook extremist?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I believe in the greatness of America, and I think I'm worried about it. I'm worried about the direction we're headed. And since Wyoming is the best-run country or state in the country, why does Wyoming have to stand by and wait for these things to happen? We need to look to the future, plan a little bit, study these issues, and see if we can come up with some help here to avoid any effects on our Wyoming folks here.
Okay, so what are you looking to do, David, exactly? What would this bill do?
All it is a task force put together. It would have 4 legislators, 2 from the House, 2 from the Senate, a person from the governor's office, the attorney general's office, the Department of Ag, the Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, just some experts in the state, the Homeland Security folks, our adjunct general who oversees our Wyoming National Guard. They would be put together as a task force to study the possible effects of some interruptions of services here in Wyoming. For example, what's the effect of the rapid decline of the currency? We didn't say we're going to have an alternative currency, but the exact language reads potential effects of the rapid decline of the United States dollar and the ability to quickly provide an alternative currency. You probably, I'm sure you don't remember, I don't remember, but I remember seeing wooden coins and script and things from the Depression that my relatives had when I was a child, always wondering what that stuff was. We need to be ready to possibly have some alternative currencies. Some other things to look at are the effect of the federal government if they have no effective control in the cities, like what's going on in Greece right now. Could that possibly happen in an austerity measure in the U.S.?
Yes.
When we finally recognize that we don't have the trillions of dollars we've promised to all the welfare and public sector workers? I don't know, Glenn.
I mean, if you look at Cloward and Piven's plan and how it was inspired by the Watts riots, and then you see what they're planning with Occupy Wall Street, Van Jones and the UAW came out today with their new plan to be back in spring. It's bigger, it's bolder, it's better, and it's more dangerous than ever before. This is what they're planning on doing. And when we do hit that wall, which is about to happen, I mean, London just said that they're out of money. The UK just announced to the world they are broke and they have no more money. What is the response of the people in Wyoming, first in the State House and then the local people? What are they saying about this bill?
Glenn, it's just so fascinating because there's a number of people that see that we have some serious issues. My co-sponsors on the bill, there's 9 or 10 of them. They all recognize that something's not right in America right now, and maybe we need to step back and take a look at these issues. So, of course, they're all supportive. We had an amendment on committee of the whole. That's first reading. It has to go through 3 readings in the House of Representatives. On first reading, it added that so-called aircraft carrier amendment in the standing Army. That was taken off today in a second amendment. So it's just back to the clean.
What was the aircraft carrier amendment? What was that?
It was a particular person trying to make fun of the bill, make light of the bill, and help to try to help kill the bill before it gets to the end. If it had stayed on the bill, it would have made it very difficult to pass third reading and make it out of the House of Representatives. So we took that off by a voice vote in a second reading today, this morning.
What is the motivation of people mocking like that? What is the motivation of them trying to stop it?
You know, it's so interesting, Glenn. I'm here in Wyoming. I actually leave the state a lot. I travel a lot around the world as a geologist. I get to see what's going on. A lot of people in Wyoming also travel, but some don't, you know, and they're very provincial and think everything's kind of just fine because they only see the Wyoming perspective. I think it's as simple as that. They think America is great. America is great, but, you know, we're not what we were 10 years ago or even 20 years ago.
We're not what we were in 1929, 1933. We're not even that. I mean, as we hit the Great Depression, we at least had resources that were available. Right now, they have all of our oil and gas locked up, all of our coal locked up, and on top of it, we no longer have the factories. We can't make anything in this country anymore. If we start to go down the tubes, what do they think we're going to use to pull ourselves back out?
Well, the whole environmental movement has greatly harmed America, and the ability to get mineral projects into production. Again, Wyoming's a great mineral producing state. We produce 10% of America's energy out of Wyoming here, and we're trying to continue. But the increasing rules and regs by the EPA, the Bureau of Land Management, the Department of Interior, the EPA, it's just making it tougher and tougher to have access to minerals. And it's going to get worse.
Okay, so, but I think I saw underneath your name something about you're the CEO of some mineral company. So couldn't I, if I was playing devil's advocate, wouldn't I just say, well, you're just trying to get rich with your own company?
Well, again, we've spent, the company I represent, it's a small Canadian company on the Toronto Stock Exchange called Strathmore. We've spent more than $60 million trying to get permits in New Mexico and Wyoming, and we don't have any permits yet. We've been doing this for 7 or 8 years now. We're also making investments overseas now because the countries we go into are encouraging mining, encouraging oil and gas, encouraging mineral development, because not only does it provide high-paying jobs for their people, it also provides a tax base. 70% of the taxes in Wyoming come from the production of minerals. And very few people really understand how that is. We don't pay income tax in Wyoming. We tax the mineral industry. We tax coal, we tax oil and gas, and we let people that consume those minerals pay those taxes with the price.
Okay. First, how do you get past the indifference, if you will, of those, in the House and then the Senate?
Well, you ask about the constituents. The constituents' response is pretty much overwhelming. I looked on the local Wyoming newspaper, the statewide newspaper here today. This particular bill has had more comments than any other bill in the legislature this year, as far as I can tell, at least the ones I checked. By a factor of 10 to 1, people from Wyoming are strongly in support of this bill. We get some really wackos, principally from the left coast, that are making all kinds of outrageous comments. Of course, the tinfoil heads and all this stuff, they really like that aircraft carrier part of this. But again, it was serious legislation. I brought it as a serious matter. I'm very interested in being one of the legislators on this study. And I don't know if we're going to come up with anything. We may just say Wyoming's just fine. But let's take a look at it. If we need legislation next year to help make things better, if there is some sort of interruption in the U.S. government, we want to be prepared.
Do you remember anybody making fun of fallout shelters?
My dad built a fallout shelter back in those days. I remember our neighbor kind of thought it was pretty strange.
No, but I mean the government, when the government built fallout shelters.
Oh, yeah, they did it right and left, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, they were everywhere. The fallout shelter signs used to be everywhere when I was growing up. Now, you know, our kids don't know what that is. Meanwhile, Russia, strangely, is building new fallout shelters. Nobody seems to be making fun of that. Nobody seems to be making fun of what Soros is doing. I mean, Soros is the guy, you want some credibility, quote George Soros when you go to read this bill. He said that these things were going to happen. He said that the country would probably fall into totalitarianism and the Constitution would fall. That was George Soros just like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know what to say other than I read your story this weekend, and I did see the aircraft carrier thing in there, and I'm like, what is that all about? But everything else made total sense to me, and I don't understand how cowboys, that people with a Western help our neighbor out and also take care of it ourselves and use common sense. I don't understand how they don't think maybe it's a good idea just to look in, how could we possibly protect our state so our state doesn't go down with the rest of it and we can protect our people and our livelihood.
You know, we have food production sources in Wyoming. Again, we're a great energy producing state. It is cold in Wyoming in the wintertime, so we need our natural gas distribution systems to be intact if something does happen. But I have no doubt that frankly, the Wyoming people are very resilient. I think the country is resilient, but it is scary that 50% of the population right now doesn't pay any taxes. So the 50% that don't pay taxes, that receive welfare payments, you add the government workers to that 50% that depend on the government for their paychecks. We're at a tipping point here, Glenn, and I think our country is resilient enough to get over this hump. But again, we need some common sense to prevail. You know, we have to mine things, we have to make things, and we have to grow things in this country.
Well, that would require Wyoming somehow or another giving Jackson Hole to, I don't know, Colorado. I mean, you got common sense. I have family that live in Wyoming. You have common sense all throughout Wyoming. It just tends to get a little stupid, at least seasonally, around Jackson Hole.
We have two areas in Wyoming that are somewhat leaning that direction. Jackson Hole, one of them. Of course, the other one's Laramie, Wyoming, and that's where that aircraft amendment came from. Was representation out of Laramie. That's a very liberal community. That's where our university is, of course. And of course, you know how universities are. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Keep up the good work, and I hope that legislatures or legislators will be calling you from other states and trying to mimic, without the aircraft part of it, aircraft carrier, to mimic what you're doing. All you're asking is, hey, can we do a study to see what do we do just in case? I think you're a very bright man and a very brave man. Thank you very much. Hey, how can that be controversial? Glenn, thanks for all your efforts. You're doing a great job, and keep it up, please. Thank you. God bless. God bless you. All right. Back in just a moment.